For the second part of 1.1, we're going to keep going with vocabulary, okay? We're going to talk about properties of real numbers. Yesterday, we kind of put them in categories. Now, we're going to describe their properties. The first one we're going to talk about has to do with the opposite. Yesterday, when I said integers were whole numbers and their opposites, you said the opposites meant negatives, okay? So that's kind of what we're going with. Another word for opposite, it's not negative. The official word is additive inverse. I guess that's two words. Additive inverse. All right? It's specifically additive. So the additive inverse of A, the opposite, is going to be negative A. Bravo. Now, one way to know, this is like the definition, this is how you know it's an actual additive inverse, is the opposites always add together to get a sum of what? 0. Okay, so if we take A plus negative A, that equals 0. We can try it with a number. So 7 plus negative 7 equals 0. Okay, additive inverses, they add to get 0. All right, the next one talks about reciprocals. What are reciprocals?
The fraction. Oh yeah, the fraction.
Fraction and you flipped it. Okay, so the official words for this is multiplicative inverse. Let me zoom in so we can all see it here. It's kind of fun though. Multiplicative. Inverse. So we have additive inverse, we have multiplicative inverse. Right? Remember, multiplicative inverse is reciprocal. So the multiplicative inverse of A is what? What's 1 over A. You either flip the fraction, or if it's not a fraction, you just put 1 over whatever it is. So we've got 1 over A. That's a good try. Now, there's one number that does not have a reciprocal. 0. 0 doesn't have a reciprocal because we cannot divide by 0. Remember, paper catches on fire, calculator blows up. Can't happen. Poof. If only that really did happen. It'd be really cool. Kind of. All right, reciprocals always multiply together to get a product of what?
1.
1 is correct. Okay, so A times 1 over A is just A over A, which reduces to get 1. Okay, we can take, let's see, like 3 times 1 over 3 equals 3 over 3, which is 1. We got additive inverse and multiplicative inverse. Okay, additive is the opposite. Multiplicative is the reciprocal. So let's find those things. Okay, so it says find the opposite, find the reciprocal of each number. So let's start with, we'll do opposite, and then we'll do reciprocal. Opposite, man, really complicated. What's the opposite of negative 3.2?
3.2.
3.2, very good. Now, reciprocal. What do we do to get the reciprocal?
1 over 3, negative 3.2.
Okay, so 1 over negative 3.2. Does that look very nice?
Yeah.
No, we don't do decimals inside fractions. So, we need to put this into the calculator and let it spit out something prettier for us. So, equals minus 0.3125. Y'all trust him? Yep. Okay. So if we multiplied that by negative 3.2, it'd come out to equaling 1. You okay with this? We're good so far. We trust Paul. All right. What's the opposite of 3 over 5?
5 over 3.
That's the opposite?
No. Negative 3 over 5.
Negative 3 over 5.
I was just playing
Got you. What's the reciprocal of 3 over 5? 5 over 3. Any questions so far? No. All right, the next one, what's the opposite of 4 and a fifth?
Negative 4 and a fifth.
Negative 4 and a fifth. All right, now we come to the reciprocal, but that's a proper fraction and we can't just like flip it. So we're going to have to make it improper first. Okay, y'all remember? Okay, so we kind of make a semicircle here. Between 5 and 4, we multiply. It's 20, and then we
20 plus 1 equals 20.
add 1. 21 over
I don't remember
And then you
ever
flip
Five.
them around and it's 5.
honestly.
Really?
No.
I don't know what grade it's from. A while back, I think. Maybe? Yeah. Okay, so you make a semicircle, you multiply first, and then you add. So 21 over 5 is the same thing as 4 and a fifth.
Where is that, dude? If you put T right there, it's plus sign, put X right
Those
there.
5 over 21 is the reciprocal.
Yes, 5 over 21 is the reciprocal. Thank you. Kind of lost track of what I was doing. Very good. All right, last one. What's the opposite?
0.002.
Positive 0.002. All right, what do we do to get the reciprocal?
Yeah, put a 1 over it.
Put a 1 over it, and can we leave it like that?
Yeah.
No.
Put it in the calculator and let it spit it out.
Paul's got it. Minus 500. Y'all trust him?
Yep.
Yep, so if we multiply negative 500 by negative 0.002, it'll come out to equal
1.
1. Okay, everybody's okay with opposites and reciprocals?
Yep.
Yes? All right, let's keep going then. All right, this top question is just to have us think a little bit, combine what we talked about yesterday with today. It says, if the reciprocal of a number is a rational number, then is the original number rational or irrational? You say irrational?
If the reciprocal of the number is irrational.
All right, we've got mostly votes for irrational. Let's think about it. So it says rational number here. So let's just give me a letter.
R.
R.
Okay.
Okay, that's our original number. So its reciprocal is what? 1 over R. Okay, and it says 1 over R is a rational number. So what did we learn about fractions that are rational yesterday? It said they were quotients made up of, it's on the first page,
I can't see it right now.
it's under rational. It's like the first thing under rational.
I give up.
Of integers.
Integers. Okay, so that means the top is an integer and the bottom is an integer, so what do we know about R? It's an integer, which means it's rational.
See, we were wrong.
That's all right. Just thinking through a little bit. Does that make sense
Yep.
to everybody? Okay. We just break it down, think about it. All right. You don't have any questions like that on your homework. Now we're going to talk about some more properties. We're going to include what we already talked about just a second ago, but we're going to add some other ones. So one thing going into this that you need to make note of is that A, B, and C are all real numbers. All right? Our first property is called closure. That goes in the box. Yeah. Closure. All the closure property says is that if you add A and B, which we know are real numbers, they come out to equaling a real number. Okay, if you multiply A and B, they're real numbers, their answer is real numbers. Okay, we're not switching between real and imaginary. They're just plain old real numbers. That makes sense? I mean, we just all kind of assume that all the time. The next one is called communicative. Alright, so communicative basically is saying the order when you're adding or multiplying doesn't matter. We can add A and B and it's going to equal the same thing as B plus A. It doesn't matter which order you write them, you add them. In addition, they're going to come out to being the same thing. Same thing with multiplication. We can do A times B or B times A. They come out to the same answer, right? 2 times 3 is 6 and 3 times 2 is 6. It doesn't matter, the order. All right, the next one is associative. This one has to do with grouping. Okay, so a lot of times it'll be parentheses. It's not the only one that has to do with parentheses, but most of the time it is. It's saying when you're adding, we can group the first two terms together, add them, and then the third, and it equals the same thing if we had added like the last two together first and then the first one. Okay, it doesn't matter. We got it. We're good. Okay, same thing with multiplying. If we do A and B together first and then C, it equals the same thing if we do B and C and then A. Doesn't matter. Equals same thing. The next one is identity. The identity for addition is the number it's the number 0. Okay, identity basically is what number can we use that won't make a difference. Okay, if we add 0 to a letter A, it doesn't make a difference, right? We end up with the letter A. Yeah? Okay, for multiplication, if we multiply by the number 1, we still get the original A, correct? Okay, so each has its identity, but they're different numbers. 0 is the one that doesn't make a difference in addition. 1 is the number that doesn't make a difference in multiplication. We good? Yes? Okay, that's identity. The next one is what we already talked about. It's inverse. All right. Now, for addition, what's the inverse? Is it opposite or reciprocal? Opposite, right? If we add the negative A to A, we end up with 0. And for multiplication, the inverse is reciprocal. If you multiply the two together, you get 1. We already talked about those. Okay. We good on those? We already talked about them. All right, the last one, it's kind of addition and multiplication put together. It's distributive. Y'all have distributed before, right? Distributive. Okay, this one has parentheses as well, but it's saying we can multiply A into the first term, into the second term. Those are arrows. They look kind of wonky, but they are, and it comes out to be AB plus AC. Y'all have done that? I like distributing. I don't know. It's fun to me. Is that weird?
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody else like distributing? Nope, okay. That's fine. I guess that's why I'm a math teacher. Whatever. All right, so just I want you to realize here, as we go through, that like for communicative, we have the communicative property of addition, and that's this one. And then we have communicative property of multiplication, and that's this one. Okay? So the first 5, there's whatever property of addition and whatever property of multiplication. It applies both ways. And then distributive is the one that's just distributive property. It's not specific to either one. You got that? Because you're going to have to write them out. Which, let's do some examples of that. So we're going to figure out which property is being used. Okay, so for here, we have 6 plus negative 6 equals 0. So which property is that?
That's the
Identity.
no.
It ends up
Yeah,
equaling 0.
No,
So,
that's inverse.
inverse. Very good. Is it inverse of addition or multiplication?
That would be addition.
Addition. Okay, so we're going to write that down. If you want to use some abbreviations, that's fine, but don't abbreviate these words. Okay, those are important. So I'm going to write inverse
Addition.
prop of add. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we can put some periods in there so we know it's abbreviations. All right, the next one, what's going on?
That
What makes you think it's associative?
Because they have an equal sign and they have parentheses.
Okay, so parentheses kind of make us think associative. But when you look at these, kind of see what the difference is between the left side and right side. So what changed from here to here?
You're multiplying over 1 on the left side. Not multiplying on the right side.
All right, so the 2 is the same. We're not worried about that. How do we get from -4 times 1 to just -4?
Because -4 times 1 is negative.
Okay, so we multiplied it by something and it didn't change. So that is identity.
Oh.
Is it addition or multiplication? Multiplication, the times 1. All right, so we've got identity prop of mult.
Yeah, you've been so broke, man.
Keep going.
You got another?
I got my right hand side.
For C, what's changing between the two sides? What's grouped together? Okay, which property did we say went with grouping?
That's associative.
Associative. Okay, we see lots of parentheses, lots of brackets. Everything's in the same order. It's just associative. Yes, of addition. Very good. Associative. Prop of addition. There's only been like one person that wrote down math as their favorite subject on their Who I Am thing.
I like gym class.
All right, the very last thing, it's review, and you actually had some of it on your homework yesterday. Okay, so hopefully you knew what it was. But we're talking about absolute value. So the absolute value of a real number is its distance from what on the number line? From 0 on the number line. Okay.
It's usually right in the middle.
0 is usually right in the middle. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. I know this is pretty basic, but let's just make sure we have it right. So -4, we're going to take that one. Here it is. How far is that from 0?
About negative.
1, 2, 3, 4 spots, right? It doesn't matter. We're just counting the spots. So they're going to be positive, so the answer is just 4. That's the absolute value of 4.
Oh, word.
Okay. What about 0? How far is 0 from 0?
That's
Not very far.
0. It's right on it. All right. Then the last one. How do we deal with this? We've got stuff going on inside. Do we deal with the inside yet, or?
That'd be negative. That would be negative. No, positive 2.
All right. So we're multiplying. -1 times -2 is positive 2. So we have absolute value of positive 2. How far is 2 from 0?
About 2 spaces.
There's 2 spaces. Okay, so our answer would be 2. All right. You're going to deal with absolute value on tonight's homework, but it's with inequalities. So you'll have one absolute value, another absolute value, and you have to relate them with inequalities. Okay? Good? All right.